Yo, what is going on, everyone? It's me, Mr. Premps, and this is absolutely mad. You see, One Piece 1044 is out, and this chapter was absolutely insane. And yeah, I know how I said it's out, but of course, these are the scans. And I'm not gonna lie, just looking at it right now, I absolutely love One Piece, man. It's chapters like these that really make me appreciate the masterpiece of a manga that One Piece is. But enough of that, because there are some big moments in this chapter, and I want to cover them off really quickly. And so to start off, I know we have the cover page with Germa, but that's just something for me to discuss later, because right now, right from the beginning, we hear Luffy talking. And even though we don't actually see him per se, we get what we're left off with at the end of chapter 1043, and that's the drums of life. And within Luffy's dialogue, he's of course confused. I mean, he's probably wondering how he's alive right now. The last thing he probably remembers was being held by that CP0 agent and being knocked out by Kaido. But what's more weird to him is that he talks about being filled with enjoyment. And you know what, that's probably when we all got so gassed, because we know it's the fact that Luffy is Joyboy, and that's why he's feeling all of this enjoyment within him, all of this happiness I should say. And we get this beautiful image of like black lightning coming out of Luffy, and honestly, sitting here I am still so hyped. But I guess before I get into any more detail, I kind of want to set the scene of the state of Wano a bit, and the mentality of all those on Onigashma. Because with Kaido coming down and upset at the end of chapter 1043, he explained that Luffy had been defeated. And at that point, we could almost see the pain and anxiety on everyone's face, and how everyone's hopes were kind of almost dropping. We could even see it through some dialogue. And then when we look at Nami's face, I mean, she was looking like she was ready to scrap with Kaido. But now in this chapter, we can see that's not an issue, as they can all feel Luffy's presence again. And Oda shows us this with the characters looking up, starting off with Sanji, and then Kid, and then Law, and then Old Man Hyogoro, and then even Marco, who then relays this message to Nami and Tama, who are basically like crying at this point as he tells them to look up too. Basically, Luffy's back, you can feel his presence in the sky, almost shadow-like. But then we briefly move away from all of this, and we move to the discussion between the Gorosei inside Pangaea Castle, where the discussions continue about everything that's going on in Wano, and more importantly, what's going on in Onigashima. And I don't know if any of the Gorosei outrank each other, but one of them effectively mentions that he's unsure as to whether it was worth losing one of their top agents for this cause. Now, as he says this, we get a response from another member of the Gorosei, and this is the one with the kind of locks in his hair. I mean, some people might refer to them as dreadlocks, but he replies and he says that it's definitely worth it given the situation and what the future may lead to. But this conversation gets even more interesting, and we learn more and more about Luffy's fruit here as they start talking about the Gomu Gomu No Mi. And you know what, I was really excited at this point because I could just feel the reveal coming. And they speak about how the world government have been trying to get this fruit for basically forever, but they basically never managed to get their hands on it. And it basically happens every era. And even now, 800 years have passed, they still haven't got their hands on it. And I'm just thinking, wait, they've known about this all along, but we thought it was a myth. But anyway, I digress, because what is most interesting here is the big reveal, and that's Luffy's Gomu Gomu No Mi isn't actually a paramecia, and we find out that it's actually a mythical zone devil fruit that goes by the name of the Hito no Mi, which is actually the human fruit, but the mythical model Nika. And this ties into everything that we've been talking about and discussing on the Twitter timelines about the Sun God Nika. And to be honest, when I think about it, it's effectively similar to, let's say, Sengoku's devil fruit. And I'm probably going to cover this devil fruit and its abilities a bit more in detail a little later on in another video, and why we never knew this before. So look out for that video and we'll deep dive into it. But wow, what a revelation. But the Gorosei go on to explain that the awakening of this fruit will give Luffy this intense strength and freedom, and probably what they believe to be one of the most broken powers in the world. And that's probably why they've tried to prevent things happening by having that CP0 agent ensure Luffy's defeat. But they didn't know that it's actually their involvement that has now caused this fruit to awaken. But one more thing I want to add here before I move past this is the Gorosei talking about zone devil fruits and having a mind of their own, and that's probably how the fruit escaped them for over all these years. And I'm not sure if this needs to be retranslated, but I think it's going to be a key thing to note moving forward. We also get a little bit on Hiyori and Orochi, but to be honest, I actually don't care about it too much. I know Hiyori's getting one over on Orochi right now, and Orochi's kind of getting his comeuppance because he never saw this coming. But that's something to be discussed later because there's so much more to discuss and so much more interesting stuff like Luffy. But as I mentioned before, we see Luffy and now he's in this form that he believes to be his Gear 5, his Fruit's Awakening. And as I mentioned, he's dripping of black lightning, and like a Dragon Ball Z character, he can feel the power flowing through his body as Conqueror's Haki is literally leaking from him, causing so many of the beast pirates to basically just pass out unconscious. And I'm not gonna lie, Kaido is looking kinda shooketh at this point. And honestly, Luffy literally wants all the smoke. And without hanging around, Luffy goes after Kaido. He grabs him, drags him up to the roof like a little man. And this is actually such a ridiculous battle scene, which is so intense because for the first time in this fight, I'm actually looking at it like, rah, Luffy, you are doing your thing. And finally, I am getting the feeling of the battle coming to its climax. And this double page spread is absolutely fantastic because as Kaido goes to attack Luffy with a bolo breath, Luffy literally grabs the rubber off the ground and deflects the attack back at Kaido. And this is everything that I thought this awakening could be. But one thing I'm noticing here is I'm not sure that this is all Luffy. He looks to be bouncing between his muscle form and then being filled with hysterics, absolutely laughing. And yes, I know this is because he's Joyboy, and Joyboy must have something to do with this laughing. But does Luffy actually know what he's doing here? I mean, he's never actually had the chance to practice this form, and I'm not entirely sure how I feel about this. But I'll look forward to where Oda takes this. And I also want to mention that Kaido and Luffy share some dialogue here, because basically Kaido apologizes to Luffy about how things went down in their last duel, and Luffy's just like, yeah, no problem, as we come towards the end of this chapter. And honestly, this is just so goated, and I'm looking forward to One Piece Chapter 1045 now. But honestly, let me know what you all think. Are you happy with Luffy's Joyboy reveal? Are you happy knowing that Luffy actually didn't know what his devil fruit was and that his devil fruit is actually a mythical zone fruit? I mean, there's so many questions here. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and I really want to discuss this with some of you guys and girls because honestly, I love One Piece. But anyways, if you like anything I've had to say, then please make sure you leave a like on the video. And if you like content like this, discussing One Piece, theories, chapter reviews, and even previews, then make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss out when I drop more content just like this. Say